Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Raymond Yan.
And I'm Beth Nazer. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Possible eco-disaster as raw sewage flows into the sea due to typhoon-damaged mains.
Students of St. Stephen's College head back to class in typhoon-ravaged campus.
British PM Theresa May pitched her Brexit proposals to European leaders in Salzburg.
An ecological disaster could be in the making after a sewage treatment facility in Sai Kung was damaged during the typhoon and could not fully process wastewater before discharge.
Even worse, raw sewage is now flowing directly into the sea in Deepwater Bay and Shek O after several sewage mains were busted by the storm. Riley Chan reports.
Officially the strongest storm to hit Hong Kong on record, Typhoon Mangkhut has left a trail of destruction across the city. And sewage treatment plants were not spared. An ecological disaster could be in the making after authorities confirmed Sai Kung sewage treatment works, which serves over 20,000 residents in the area, was crippled by the storm on Sunday. Currently, sewage collected from households undergo 5 levels of treatment before it is discharged into the sea. With pipes and facilities damaged, the Sai Kung plants can only provide primary treatment plus an additional disinfection process instead of the secondary treatment it was capable of. That means wastewater will now be discharged at the shores without any biological purification. The Drainage Services Department estimated that it would take some time before repairs are complete. If that wasn't enough cause for concern, raw sewage is even flowing directly into the sea off southern Hong Kong Island, where mains leakages were reported. That include a 450mm wide pipe near Mills and Chung Path at Deepwater Bay, a 150mm pipe at a nearby barbecue site, and a 300mm pipe off the shores of Shek O. The pipe leakages and malfunctioning sewage facilities have forced the closures of 5 beaches in Sai Kung, Deepwater Bay and Shek O. Still, that didn't stop keen swimmers from going for a dip under the hot weather today. This man said he noticed water at Deepwater Bay was a little murkier than usual, but hoped impurities could be washed away by waves over the past few days. The Environmental Protection Department said it had collected seawater samples from these beaches to ensure the water is safe for swimming. But in the meantime, it urged members of the public to stay away as a precaution. Riley Chan, HKIBC.
Many of you have seen what Typhoon Mangkhut has done to an office tower in Hong Kong. But it turns out a primary school next to it was also caught in the crosshairs as pieces of glass were blown into the campus.
Meanwhile, students finally returned to class at St. Stephen's College today, but they may have to cope with damaged facilities in the meantime. Riley Chan reports.
Order might be mostly restored across Hong Kong after Sunday's typhoon, but a famous school in Southern District is still struggling to resume classes. Students of St. Stephen's College, one of the oldest schools in the city, were greeted by scenes of destruction when they returned to the Stanley campus this morning. With most bus routes connecting the city centre and the seaside towns still suspended due to fallen trees on the roads, the school decided to allow extra travel time for students by pushing back classes to 11 a.m. But these students said traffic wasn't too bad this morning, while another said some sections had only one lane serving both directions of traffic and caused minor delays. PE lessons will be disrupted in the coming weeks as both the tennis and basketball courts were damaged. Principal Carol Young said it might take months before pupils could use the courts again, explaining maintenance workers were simply overwhelmed with jobs at the moment. On the other side of the harbour, this primary school in Hong Kong remained shut for the 4th day as the cleanup operation was still underway. Shards of glass scattered the playground and the garden, many blown into the campus from nearby office tower to harbourfront, sitting just across the road. The high-rise complex was one of the worst-hit buildings during the typhoon after dozens of glass windows and exterior facade were smashed. The school could not estimate when classes would resume. Riley Chan, HKIBC.
Ousted pro-democracy lawmaker Lau Siu-lei announced her intention to return to the legislature. Supported by allies of pro-democracy parties, the 42-year-old announced she will take part in the upcoming Legislative Council by-election. Lau will again contest for a seat in the Kowloon West constituency, which was left vacant after she was disqualified in the oath-taking saga. The university lecturer said a victory will help strengthen the Democratic camp's ability to scrutinize the government within LegCo. The by-election will take place on November 25th, while nominations begin on October 2nd.
Let's look at some overseas headlines. British Prime Minister Theresa May pitched the Brexit proposals to European leaders in Salzburg, but both sides are far from reaching an agreement.
The EU said May's proposals will need to be reworked and further negotiated, hinting a no-deal Brexit could still be in the picture. Sarah Wong reports.
It's time to talk about details of the divorce. British Prime Minister Theresa May arrived in Salzburg for dinner talks with the heads of European Union nations. With migration topping the summit's agenda, May was going to pitch her ideas, dubbed the Chequers Brexit plan, to the European leaders by the end of the dinner.
I believe this is the right proposal because it maintains frictionless trade. It's the only credible and negotiable plan on the table that delivers no hard border in Northern Ireland and also delivers on the vote of the British people.
This is the first time for May to directly address the other 27 European leaders over Brexit negotiations instead of through the European chief negotiator Michel Barnier. The talks appear to be stalled over the Irish border issue. The EU is pushing for Northern Ireland to stay in the European Customs Union if the two sides fail to strike a free trade agreement after Brexit.